There's a silence that doesn't scream, it doesn't echo, it doesn't even call your name. It just sits there, waiting, not for your attention, but for your surrender. And when you finally stop running, when the notifications go dark and your feed grows stale, when the voices outside fade into nothing, that's when you first hear it. Not the silence, yourself. Solitude isn't about being alone. It's about being with yourself, uninterrupted, about watching all the versions of you that show up in public, the charming one, the careful one, the always knowing what to say one, fall away, and in their place, something quiet, uncertain, real. We've built a world that fears this, not intentionally, but systematically. We are taught to avoid the stillness, to perform, to connect, to always be in motion. Because if you stop, even for a moment, you might have to face the one person you've been avoiding, the unmasked version of you. And yet, that unmasked version is where all your answers live. The power of solitude isn't about escapism. It's about awareness. It's about finally hearing what's been buried under everyone else's expectations, including your own. Carl Jung once said that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And the reason is simple. The soul tells the truth. It doesn't care about your narrative. It doesn't care about your followers. It doesn't care about your success story. It just is. When you step into solitude, the noise of the world doesn't just go quiet. It leaves you exposed. There's no laugh track, no feedback, no algorithm to shape your relevance. Just you and the mirror. A mirror without fog. A reflection without edits. That's why people fear it. Because what if you're not who you thought you were? What if the life you built was designed not around your truth, but around your fear? The fear of being disliked, the fear of being forgotten, the fear of being nothing more than ordinary. In solitude, those fears don't vanish, they speak. And they don't scream, they whisper. And the whispers are worse, because you can't argue with them. They're ancient, personal, familiar, and you know deep down they've always been there. But here's the part no one tells you. When you stay, when you don't reach for the distraction, when you sit with what scares you, it starts to shift. The whisper doesn't break you, it breaks open, and something honest comes through. Maybe pain, maybe clarity, maybe both. And you realize you've been living in a kind of fog. A beautiful fog, maybe. A productive fog. But a fog, nonetheless. Solitude clears it. And once the mirror clears, you can't pretend anymore. Blaise Pascal believed all of humanity's problems stem from one thing: our inability to sit quietly in a room alone. It sounds romantic, but try it. No distractions, no phone, no TV humming in the background. Just you and the walls. Most people can't do it for 10 minutes, not because they're weak, but because they've spent their entire lives avoiding what would come up. At first, it's boredom, then it's unease, then it's the flood, regrets that suddenly resurface, embarrassing memories that replay without warning, things you thought you'd moved on from, but didn't, things you thought didn't matter, but do. It's like the mind, finally given space, rushes to process everything you never gave it time for. you realize that the noise wasn't accidental, it was armor. Constant stimulation isn't just a habit, it's a defense mechanism. It protects us from the slow rise of truths we never invited. But here's the turn. If you sit long enough, if you breathe through it instead of running from it, the waves settle. And what looked like chaos becomes data. What looked like pain becomes language. And then, unexpectedly, you begin to feel clarity. Not the clarity of answers, but the clarity of presence. The world doesn't stop spinning, but you stop spinning with it. Friedrich Nietzsche never said we should abandon the world, but he warned what happens when we let the world define us. He believed that to become who you are, you must first walk away from who you've been told to be, and that happens in solitude. Not dramatic exile, not self-imposed suffering, but withdrawal. The act of stepping out of the stream just long enough to realize how strong the current was. In the quiet, you begin to separate your thoughts from the thoughts that were given to you. You begin to question what you admire, what you desire, what you've been chasing. Do you want success, or were you just taught to? Do you crave love, or are you filling a wound? Do you believe in what you post, or just in how it performs? These aren't questions you can ask in a crowded room. These are questions born in silence. Questions that don't seek answers, but alignment. Because in solitude you don't find your identity, you choose it. Solitude and loneliness wear the same clothes. They look identical to outsiders, but on the inside, they couldn't feel more different. Loneliness is what you feel when you're empty. Solitude is what you feel when you're full, but quiet. Loneliness begs for someone to show up. Solitude welcomes who already has. The difference is choice. You can be lonely in a crowd. You can feel alone in a conversation. Because loneliness isn't about who's around you, it's about who's with you internally. Solitude is the opposite. It's not a wound, it's a ritual. It says, I will meet myself today, not to escape others, not to hide, but to reconnect with the part of me that doesn't need applause to feel real. And in that space, something changes. You stop searching. You start listening, not to the world, but to the parts of you that only speak when you're quiet enough to hear. No original thought is born in noise. No true art is created while multitasking. Silence isn't a bonus for creativity, it's the foundation. Virginia Woolf needed a room of her own. Beethoven walked for hours in the forest, not for scenery, but for silence. Jung withdrew into his Bollingen Tower to let his unconscious speak without interruption. Because creativity is not just a product of talent, it's a product of space. Your best insights don't show up when you're trying to go viral. They come when you're not trying at all, when the pressure drops, when the page is blank, when the phone is off and there's nothing but the rhythm of your breath and the hum of your own curiosity. Silence is a forge, and solitude is the fire. Most people aren't afraid of being alone. They're afraid of what they'll hear when they are. Solitude is a mirror with no makeup. It reflects the wrinkles, the cracks, the truths you'd rather crop out. But it also reflects something else: your strength. Because once you've sat in the quiet long enough, once you've faced the things that haunt you without needing to post about it, you come out different. Not louder, not bolder, but more grounded. You know who you are, not because someone told you, but because you listened. And when you return to the world, you don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You move like someone who's made peace with the silence. And that's rare, and that's power. Time moves differently in solitude. It stretches, it slows, and for a while, it even feels like it belongs to you again. In daily life, time is chopped into tasks, deadlines, obligations. We borrow it, we chase it, we waste it. But in solitude, time returns to its original state, fluid, whole, uninterrupted. And in that space, something subtle begins to happen. You remember that life is not supposed to feel like survival. You start to feel the hours again, not just watch them vanish behind a screen. You begin to notice how tired you've been, how fragmented, how long it's been since you did something without measuring its value in productivity or attention. Solitude gives you time not just to do, but to be. You read slower, you walk differently, you eat with presence. You think in longer threads. You stop trying to get somewhere and begin sinking into where you already are. And sometimes, just that shift is enough to change everything. Because the power of solitude isn't just in hearing yourself. It's in reclaiming time as something sacred, not scheduled. There is a freedom that no one can give you. Not money, not status, not even love. It's the freedom of being fully at peace in your own company. This is what solitude offers. Not escape, but liberation. When you no longer fear your thoughts, you are free. When you can sit with discomfort and not be shattered by it, you are free. When you don't need validation to feel real, when you don't need noise to drown your doubt, when your worth is no longer borrowed from applause, you are finally free. Solitude doesn't make you better than anyone. It doesn't give you secret knowledge or special wisdom. It just brings you home, to the self that doesn't need to impress, to the mind that learns to breathe without noise, to the heart that no longer panics in silence. And once you've tasted that kind of stillness, you stop mistaking chaos for life. You stop chasing attention and start honoring presence. You begin to build your life from the inside out. This world will try to pull you back. It will offer distractions, comforts, endless loops of noise. But you'll know now where the real strength is, not in always being seen, but in being unshaken when no one is watching. If this reflection meant something to you, if it gave you a moment of pause, a thread of truth, then stay with this work. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment with your own experience in solitude. And if you know someone who's afraid of silence, share this with them, because these conversations only survive if we make space for them, together. Thanks for listening. And until next time, may you walk through the world quietly, but deeply awake.